guys, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm here in beautiful Norway where the sun is shining and we have the snow-covered mountains here. We need to talk about what's happening in Sweden because there's been some really serious stuff happening the last few days. So Peter Sweden here. Early yesterday morning, a police car was attacked with a hand grenade in the Swedish city of Uppsala. Now let that headline sink in for a minute. A police car came driving around midnight and all of a sudden someone throws a hand grenade at the car. This is not Somalia, guys. This is Sweden, this is Europe. And the mainstream media are not talking about this. So this video is really important, so make sure to share this and stay tuned, guys. So, the police car came driving. Someone threw a hand grenade at the police car. Luckily though, they missed. The grenade bounced off a electricity cable and exploded a little bit away from the police car. And unfortunately 8 other cars were damaged in the explosion. Now after the grenade attack, a Swedish police officer told the news outlet 24 Uppsala that, quote, "There's panic in the whole police force right now. We are dealing with a lot of murders and shootings and now this happens," unquote. And he told that to the newspaper anonymously. So even the police force in Sweden, even the police officers are now scared. That should tell you how serious the situation is. And an elderly couple, which lived just across the street, got grenade fragments in their garage. So now, I mean, ordinary Swedish citizens are being affected by this as well. So what is going on here? Well, there's been quite a few things happening in the Swedish city of Uppsala the last week. There is a no-go zone in Uppsala called Gottsunda, where the police has been doing quite a few operations dealing with you know, stopping drugs and stopping weapons and so on. And these criminal gangs that are in these no-go zones that the police have been targeting, they're not too happy about this. So they have been doing revenge attacks. Now in another video I talked about where they set 10 cars on fire and the firefighters were too afraid to go out to put them out, so they waited 3 hours before the police could escort the firefighters and help them out. And then the police did another operation a couple of days ago, and then this grenade attack happened. Now, it's not just in the city of Uppsala. I mean, it's all over Sweden that the police have been targeted. Now, there's been quite a few attacks against the police in Sweden the last 6 weeks. There's actually been 6 attacks against the police in 6 weeks, which is very serious when you think of it. And 3 of these attacks have actually been bombings. Now, in one instance, a police officer, he was in his private home with his wife and kids, I believe, there as well, when someone opened fire with a machine gun into his house. And then there were some rock attacks, and then there were 3 bombings that happened as well, including a very big bombing. The police station Helsingborg got its entrance totally destroyed in a bombing, and then there was and then there was another bomb at another police station, and then there was this grenade attack against the police car. And I mean, there's been more attacks as well earlier this year. I mean, earlier this year, a police chief at his private home, in the middle of the night, someone blew up his car in the middle of the night at his private home. So there's been a lot of attacks against the police in Sweden recently. And why is this? I mean, it's getting to very serious levels when people are out in the streets throwing grenades at police cars. I mean, this should be unthinkable in a first world country, in Europe, in Sweden. I mean, that's something, I mean, that barely even happens in Afghanistan. Now it's happening in Sweden. I mean, this is really serious stuff, and the mainstream media are not talking about this at all, which I think is a scandal. It speaks volumes about the bias and agenda that they have, that they're not reporting on this, because this should be international headline news the world over, but it is not. And it's left to me and a few others to bring you the truth about what's happening in Sweden. So, I mean, what's going on here? Well, if you want my analysis, the thing that's going on is that the police are battling basically against these criminal gangs in these no-go zones. So there were a lot of migrants that came to Sweden in 2015 and you know, during the migrant crisis, and many of them unfortunately have not integrated very well. And they have, you know, because they have a different culture, different language, they all separate into and form separate societies, and they create these gangs and they completely take over certain areas, and that's how these no-go zones are formed. And then they don't want to conform to Swedish laws and culture, so they start creating their own, selling drugs and weapons and so on in these areas, and that's how the conflict escalates. So obviously the police has to go in and try and stop the crime that's going on, the weapons and drugs and so on that they're dealing with, and they don't kind of like that, so then they retaliate against the police with grenades and bombs and so on. So basically, you know, I read that in Belgium a police officer told media that they were, quote, at a war with migrant youth, and I think it's very similar to the situation happening in Sweden. You have these separate societies which are at war with Swedish values and democracy and human rights and freedom. They don't like any of that. They have their own rules, their own laws, and they don't want to follow the Swedish way of life. So that is why the conflict is in Sweden, and you can see it, you know, with all of the escalating crime, rapes, shootings, murders, bombs. You know, there were 16 bombs in just 1 month here just recently in Sweden, which is an insane number. I mean, this can't go on, and the Swedish politicians and media are completely quiet about this. Okay, you can read about the one bombing you can read about the bombings, you know, there's one bomb there, one shooting there and so on in Swedish media, but nothing, you know, concrete where they say, yeah, there is a problem here with these no-go zones. There has been 16 bombs in 1 month. There is a problem here with these no-go zones and so on. They don't report on that at all. And the English-speaking international mainstream media, they're not talking about this at all. So it's really important that you guys share this video all over social media with your friends, so that you get the real truth out there, so that people can make informed decisions, you know, when they go to vote. Because if they don't know what's happening, they might continue to vote for the same politicians that are allowing these things to happen, because they don't know it's happening, because it's a media blackout. So make sure to share this video, guys, so that people know what's going on, so you can inform people of the truth. And leave a like as well, guys, because that's good for the YouTube rating. That gets more views. And make sure to subscribe as well to my channel, so you don't miss any future updates, what's happening in Sweden. And remember to hit the notification bell as well, so that you don't miss any future videos, so then you get a notification whenever a new video comes out. So make sure to hit the notification bell as well, guys. And leave a comment below what you think, guys. And if you want to support my work, because the mainstream media are not up to the job, people like us, like me, have to do this. So if you want to support my work at all, please consider supporting me on PayPal or Patreon. I'll leave the links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys later.